Welcome to the Bruce Williams channel. Wrist check, I am wearing the day date from Rolex on the bracelet. This is the watch that I wear almost every day. I absolutely love it and I can't get enough of it. Now, in this video, I would like to showcase one of the most beautiful, one of the most gorgeous, one of the most visually interesting divers that I have ever had the pleasure to film and photograph. This is a Grand Seiko spring drive diver that has a Grand Seiko blue color iteration. So if you think about it, this is the brand color for one of the most impressive Japanese brands out there. It's a really special watch. I'd like to thank Exquisite Timepieces for sending this in for review. I've been borrowing watches from them for years now. They've lent in so many watches. They've been a huge supporter of my channel. So if you are shopping any Grand Seiko, any Seiko model, any of the brands that they carry, I will leave a link in the description. They are a great family-owned brick-and-mortar authorized dealer here in the United States. Now let's talk specifics with this beautiful diver. I think the first thing that you notice is this texture, this ever-changing wave pattern on the dial. And in some angles, this looks like a flat dial. It looks a little bit reflective, rather basic. And then in other angles, you see a deeper shade of blue, a more vibrant shade of blue. And then in yet other angles, you really see the depth and the brilliance of that wave pattern. So this dial is ever changing. And I think it is a highlight of the model and a great backdrop for these very deep applied markers and this massive handset. This handset is huge and it is exquisitely finished, exactly what you want to see from a Grand Seiko model. Now the movement within is the latest version of the 9R platform. This is the 9R A5 movement. It has a 5-day or 120-hour power reserve, so a full work week worth of power reserve. And Grand Seiko calls this thinner and more robust than previous versions of the 9R spring drive platform. So it really is kind of the latest and greatest from this brand. It does have an increased window of accuracy of plus or minus 10 seconds per month, which in my experience with Seiko and Grand Seiko, they under-promise and over-deliver, so I would anticipate even better accuracy on a monthly level than plus or minus 10 seconds. So it really is a beautiful movement. You will not be able to view it through a closed case back, but that's the movement within, and there will be a power reserve indicator on the dial side of this watch. Now, the entire watch, the case, the bracelet, the clasp, this is all crafted out of high-intensity titanium, as Grand Seiko calls it. So it is very lightweight, it is very well finished, and it will hold up well, or at least better than standard titanium, to scratches, dings, and dents over the course of using a sports watch the way it is intended to be used. Now, that being said, I've never met any watch collector who dives with a premium luxury dive watch on wrist. I know people dive with subs or with sea dwellers, but I see those as more tool watches, and they have a great history as being used as divers. And I've never seen anyone that dives with a spring drive Grand Seiko. So if you dive with one of these watches, I'd love to talk to you. Reach out with a few photographs to my email, which is in the description of this video. I'd be interested to hear your experience, diving with a gorgeous spring drive diver if you do that. Now, continuing with the review, let's talk about tactile elements. This has a ceramic bezel insert for the bezel, and here is a sense of the action. It has a surprisingly refined feel to the bezel action. It is rather quiet, but here's the thing. It's really good for a Seiko or a Grand Seiko. It's not necessarily that satisfying when you compare it to a similarly priced watch from a Swiss company or a German company. Grand Seiko places different emphasis in that tactile feel. It's more about the comfort. It's more about being easy to take off and clean out. It's not necessarily about feeling rock solid or having no backplay. So, I mean, I just have to mention that. If you have no experience with Seiko dive bezels or Grand Seiko dive bezels, I don't think you will necessarily enjoy this. It might feel like a bit of a letdown, but for a Seiko, it's really good. Now let me show you the low light shot, the Lume shot. Like most Seiko and Grand Seiko models, this has such satisfying amounts of Lumibright. So in natural light, it's white, it's desaturated, and in low light, it glows green and very bright. The longevity is quite satisfying. So when I look at this watch, let's step back and give it an overall appraisal. I think Grand Seiko has really given us their latest and greatest. So we have the Evolution 9 case and high intensity titanium. We have a more solid bracelet than other Grand Seiko bracelets. The Evo 9 bracelets are a little bit thicker. They're a little bit more solid feeling. They're a step in the right direction, but they're not quite at the same level or feel as, say, a Swiss competitor or a German competitor. Just be aware of that. Again, if you have no experience with Seiko or Grand Seiko. But it really is a well-finished, well-proportioned watch that dazzles in natural light. And it's a little bit interesting because when I think of a tool watch, when I think of a dive watch, I think of something that's rather austere, that's very basic, no frills. I'm not necessarily thinking of something that's exquisitely beautiful, that has levels of finesse and polish and shine that are unexpected. But you know what? Whenever you come across a sports piece like that, it's kind of a rarity. So I enjoy this one quite a bit. Let's talk about the retail price, $11,600. And that is reflective of the effort that Grand Seiko has put into this watch with their latest and greatest dial and spring drive movement and the high intensity titanium, the Evo 9 case and bracelet, the great Lume, the improved bezel action. So it is a premium product. And I would say that this sits above a Rolex Submariner when it comes to the retail price, but it's a very different feeling watch than, say, a Rolex Sub. And it's not quite at a Blancpain 50 Fathoms retail price level, but I would compare it more to a watch in that price category than I would at, say, a sub $10,000 watch like a Rolex Submariner or an Omega Planet Ocean or something like that. It has a premium feel to it, but it's kind of an acquired taste, if that makes sense. So that being said, let me know what you think about this Uishio Grand Seiko Spring Drive Diver in Grand Seiko Blue. Do you like the direction that Grand Seiko is going in? Do you think that this is worth the significant retail price? Again, if you are shopping any Grand Seiko, a link to exquisite timepieces will be in the description of the video. And if you have made it this far, thank you very much. I try to post varied watch content every other day, so I would appreciate if you enjoyed this to leave me a like. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe to my channel. It helps me grow. It really helps me out quite a bit. I greatly appreciate it. So that all being said, thanks again, and I'll see you in the comment section.